Hi everyone, this is Tara from the Farmington Libraries. Welcome to my Beeswax food wraps demo. So today we're going to make food wraps that you can reuse. They are eco-friendly. You can use them for snacks and sandwiches and fruit. You can just cover and transport food in them. And they're very easy to make. So in your maker kit you should have a couple of pieces of fabric. You should have a longer rectangular piece of fabric, and you should have a square piece of fabric. And the fabric that I put in your maker kits are not pre-washed, so you will have to wash them and iron them before you begin this project. And you're also going to need beeswax pellets and a brush to brush the melted beeswax on the fabric, and you'll need some parchment paper and a baking tray. There are a few different ways to make these food wraps. You can use an iron instead of an oven if you want. You can put some beeswax on the fabric, and then you can put the parchment paper on top, and then iron and melt the beeswax on top of the fabric. You can do it that way. But today we're just going to use an oven. So before you begin, you should have the oven on. You should preheat it to about 150 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you can get started on the project. So what we're going to do is just add the beeswax, or put the beeswax evenly on and spread it on the fabric. So I noticed that this piece of fabric was a little too long for my baking sheet, so I cut it down a little bit. So you can do that, or you can cut it in half if you like and have two smaller pieces, whatever you like. And I have about half a cup of pellets here. I'm just going to spread it around. As evenly as possible. And you don't want too much beeswax, because you just need a really thin layer of beeswax on the fabric. Because if you have too much, it'll start cracking. The fabric will start cracking. But if you do have too much, you can melt some of it off later on. And make sure you try and get the edges of the fabric as well. So put some pellets on the edges of the fabric. And some of this, if you miss a spot, you can use your brush and brush the beeswax onto that spot. Okay, so I just want to give you a closer look of how much beeswax you need. I didn't use quite half a cup, so you really don't need that much. And now I'm going to pop this in the oven. So I just want to make absolutely sure that I don't get too much wax on this fabric, so I'm just going to take this off, or take this out, and I'm going to remove the parchment paper. Keep that away. I just don't want any excess wax. So essentially, I just didn't want the wax from the parchment paper to dry on the fabric. Like I said, it just needs a very thin coat of wax. And you can either take your fabric and hang it somewhere. You can use a hanger, or you can use clothespin and hang it somewhere to dry, or you can just leave it be. So I did reheat my fabric, and I got off the excess wax by using some paper towels and sopping up the wax. Again, you can hang your fabric to from a hanger, and some of the wax will drip off, but I just reheated and took off the excess wax. And as you can see, I'm not sure if you're able to see, but it's a really nice consistency. My fabric feels a little stiff, but not too stiff, and there's no pooling of wax anywhere, so I'm really happy with this. So just to demo with an apple, I'm just going to wrap this apple in the wax fabric. Just wrap it up. So you can do this with wraps and sandwiches and fruit, and the beeswax is supposed to have antimicrobial properties, so and again, it's supposed to be very, or it is very eco-friendly. So I hope you enjoy making your beeswax food wraps, and that you use them often and for a very long time. And just make sure that once you've made your food wraps, you don't wash it in hot water, or you don't put it someplace hot, because the wax will melt off. But you should be able to hand wash your wrap with some, or lightly with some soap and cold water. Again, I hope you enjoyed this demo, and have fun.